Hi and welcome. Today I'm taking a look at the AKG N700NC Mark II. This is a Harman Samsung product. Of course, for the AKG brand, it is a rather old model in terms, if we're talking in terms of noise cancelling headphones and such. This headphone is basically a dinosaur. It was released around 2019, 2020, and it hasn't gotten an update since. As a result, the noise cancelling is quite middling. The transparency mode is there, and it's missing some modern creature comforts. However, that's not why I chose to talk about this headphone. I don't talk about this headphone because of the noise cancelling or the way it competes with modern noise cancelling headphones. There's cheaper options that will give you much better noise cancelling. I have a set right here. As an example, the Soundcore Q45, excellent noise cancelling. However, the sound is pretty crap, and headphones like these, there's very little thought put into the acoustics, which is where this differs quite a bit. It's actually using some relatively expensive Foster 40mm biocellulose drivers, coupled with a pretty good acoustic design. That means you're getting relatively few dips and peaks that are, especially along the treble region, where other headphones, especially like the Soundcores, can actually have quite a violent response, to say the least, up there, with crazy peaks and dips all over the place that just can't be EQ'd out. This is a totally different approach. It's pretty much acoustics first. If you look at the passive versus active, so basically with the digital signal processing, noise cancelling and things like that, on versus off, there's actually not a ton going on that they had to correct for outside of the bass region, which without the DSP is really super bloated and gross, but with the DSP they were able to bring it down, and that's a totally normal approach in the industry, because the industry standard is to more or less make the system as efficient as possible before DSPing and EQing down things like mid-bass, which would tend to get boosted as a result of that line of thinking. And so, standard approach, things are corrected for here, and it's a really nice headphone as a result of this kind of back to basics approach to design. And speaking of design, actually, let's just take a look at the industrial design for a bit. So this is a fairly compact over-ear headphone. It's quite a lot slimmer than my other example here, which is the Soundcore Q45. And it's quite a bit smaller than a lot of modern headphones. The headband is, for my head, actually quite nicely padded. It has this nice sort of micro suede or whatever material on it. And the pleather on the pads, it's a step above the headphones like the K371 in my opinion. However, it is worth noting that the cups themselves are quite shallow, which is actually part of what lends to this acoustic design and some of the benefits here. And you can see inside, actually, there's quite a bit of memory foam damping behind this fabric and some perforated sections along the inside of the pad. Likely all for acoustic reasons. So yeah, and it just fits quite nicely. There are some issues that are worth noting with the construction of this headphone. You can see how it kind of fits here. It's quite small. My ears are tiny, so this fits like a normal over-ear, and I have no problems getting a seal. It's worth noting, though, that certain sections along the headband, and on mine, I've had mine for over a year now, certain small bits of plastic tend to crack a little bit. This is not the best plastic. So watch out for that in regards to these headbands. Be careful with them. Now let's collapse this up all quite nicely and get back to the sound quality. So in terms of sound quality, this is actually quite a nice headphone. It does lean quite a bit into the mid-bass compared to some things that audiophiles might be, I guess, accustomed to. It's nowhere near as egregious in 200 Hz as something like the Sony WH-1000X M4s, but it does resemble actually a little bit of that Sony style sound where they give you quite, at least older Sony style sound, where they didn't overdo the mid bass, but there was quite a bit of punch in there. and the rest of the sound is actually quite relaxed and quite smooth. This does not perfectly follow the Harman target, however past 1 kilohertz, it's not too bad. There's some good pin again going on, and again there's fairly smooth treble that's reasonably well extended, and that extension can be adjusted a little bit via the onboard app EQ. Now the app EQ is actually quite good. It's a full parametric setup. I'm not going to edit in footage of it, but take my word for it, it is really quite useful in turning this into a properly neutral headphone if you'd like to, without using Wavelet or another third-party program. But yeah, overall the sound quality is excellent. The noise cancelling system does have a little bit of passive or active leakage compensation, so if there's a small gap and you're not getting a full seal, this will compensate a little bit to keep that bass extension up to a certain point. It's nowhere near as good as modern headphones such as the Apple AirPods Max or even some cheaper models like the Soundcores or some Sony headphones. But it's good enough. It gets the job done. Again, if this is fitting on you like an on-ear, which for many people is probably will, I would say just straight up don't buy it because it won't compensate for that much leakage, and by that point it would likely be rather uncomfortable. But who knows, your mileage may vary. Either way, this is actually a really nice sort of setup we have going on here with it from AKG, and I hope they release an update to it. It's been out for almost 4 years now, I think. It's remained an audiophile, convenient Bluetooth staple for a long time, and that's why I wanted it in this video. Just because it's actually quite iconic in that way. Just for the fact that they cared so much about sound quality and making this such a linear neutral sound. Okay, bass is well extended, mid-range is, again, fairly accurate, good pin gain. Treble is not perfect, but it's pretty well done here. And for a Bluetooth headphone that costs under $200, sometimes close to $100, that's pretty much as good as I can ask for. So, it remains one of my go-to headphones as long as I'm not on an airplane. And yeah, I just wanted to talk about it. Thanks for watching. See ya.